Greetings, dear listeners. I've been getting more and more comments asking me how I managed to remain anonymous, both online and in real life. Today we are going to touch upon the most important topic, because the issue of security is of concern to everyone who has tied their fate to our industry. I remind you that you can subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the show. It's important to realize that once you're on this path, life instantly turns into the life of an undercover agent. Your life is over if you're exposed, right? The only difference is that an agent has a mission, and once he's done that, he goes back to his normal, open life, his friends, his family, but you friend, not so much. You have to have a beautiful legend matching your skills and knowledge. You need a legend to have as a basis for your income and lifestyle. You should have at least some knowledge of the subject matter of the fictitious assignment. It doesn't matter what alter ego you choose for yourself, a businessman or an astrologer, a miner or a trader. The main thing is that people around you should have no doubts that you are who you say you are. Remember, everything else is useless, plausible legends are powerless, and the ability to keep your emotions in check and your mouth shut. Well, let's say you have a legend and your stamina is the envy of tightrope walkers. But we live in the digital age, and you should realize that your every move is being recorded. Going to websites, ordering food or a cab, listening to your favorite track, or watching a racy video, all this is recorded and stored. Knowledge is accumulated, and then actively used by the people involved. It's a good idea to have an idea of who is collecting this data and what information you are giving them about yourself. These collectors can be roughly categorized into three groups. The first, digital device and software vendors. Apple, Google, Samsung, Xiaomi, Microsoft, Yandex. They are on everyone's lips. These guys know everything. But to them, you're an impersonal customer. They're interested in selling you, along with millions of others like you, to advertisers. The second group is the ISPs. They have virtually no use for your data, but they're compelled to collect it because there's a third group above them. The most dangerous group for you, my dear friend. Government agencies, FSB, FBI, NSA, 96, and so on. They work closely with both vendors and ISPs. These guys are very interested in making an anonymized device user. Got a residential address of residence, a phone number, passport info, a couple of photos, a voice sample, fingerprints, fingers, and so on. So how do you protect yourself from these prying eyes? Alas, it's almost impossible to disappear completely, but it is possible to blend in as ordinary people and hide your criminal activities, hidden from observers. First, you must have a separate device or devices through which you will conduct your activities. It can be a smartphone, tablet, computer, or laptop, it doesn't matter. The key is to use it as a work tool only. Secondly, secure. Communication. Tor is a great solution, but Tor alone is not enough. It is difficult to hide the fact of using Tor browser from the provider, so you should get a VPN. Choose a VPN provider carefully, study the privacy policy, and user agreement of the service you like. Check the news in the company's registered office. The company office is as far away from your real location as possible, with no servers in your country of residence. This will make it harder for the VPN service to get information about you. Also, the company providing the service shouldn't be featured in news stories related to cybercrime. Of course, everyone writes that they don't store anything about you, but you shouldn't take their word for it. The task of a VPN is to hide the fact of using Tor, nothing more. I also do not recommend using the same VPN for work and, for example, watching Netflix. Nothing personal should not be transmitted through VPN. We have devices, we have connections. What's next? Operating system. I use Linux on my work device. Kali, Kodachi, Tails on the computer, Sailfish OS, Lineage OS, Ubuntu Touch on the phone. The topic of operating systems is too vast to cover in detail in a casual conversation. For now, it's enough to grasp the basic idea. Windows and Mac OS are created by companies that collect information about you, and they do it with your consent. Remember the accept button in the window with the text you never read? What's left there? Yeah, the app. The thing you're going to use to communicate and go online. There's no point in messing around with an operating system that you're gonna put Yandex.browser. Really? The basic rules here are pretty simple. Our blacklist includes applications created by commercial companies. Services that use your phone number for identification are also sent there. It's also advisable not to use new programs. They can easily turn out to be Harry Pot for the gullible. What? You're asking what's okay to use then? QTalks Jabber, Matrix for socializing, Tor browser for surfing onion sites, LibreOffice replaces Word, Excel, Electrum not a bad Bitcoin wallet. You can find more free software at www.opensourcealternative.to or similar resources. Each of you, dear viewers, should remember, if you do not follow the simple rules, you may be interested. Let's say there was a fiasco, and you are somewhere in the spotlight. In this case, an outdoor surveillance is set up to confirm or deny the hypothesis. Surveillance comes in many forms, from those who walk with their feet, record all contacts and target routes, to the technical. If your activity takes place on the darknet, it is worth paying special attention to technical outdoor surveillance. It is of the following types. First, phone tapping, targets, and next of kin. Standard procedure of law enforcement agencies. It is also important to know that through a vulnerability in the 3G protocol, any phone can be turned into a microphone and listen to the surroundings. Second, reading correspondence and messengers. Keep in mind, WhatsApp reads like the alphabet, and Telegram is also perfectly readable, but it does not give out official data. And there's no way to corroborate that information. Third, if the target lives in an apartment, you can shoot the room above or below and drill a hidden camera into the target's apartment, or hang a microphone on the pipes and radiators along the riser line, and listen to what's going on in the target's house. Fourth, if there is visual access to the window, there's equipment that uses a laser beam to read vibrations from the glass and recognize speech. Fifth, if the target is using Wi-Fi, there may be a special car parked in the yard with special equipment that will replace the victim's Wi-Fi hotspot and read the traffic. Similarly, this petaverse reads the signal from a wireless keyboard and headphones. Sixth, if the model of the keyboard is known, it creates specific interference after each key is pressed. If you're close enough, you can read which keys the victim is pressing. What happens if you don't think with your head? I can think of a couple of cases. A romantic love story ended tragically for one of the Hydra moderators. A longtime member of the site's team managed to fall in love by correspondence with a store owner. After a lengthy correspondence, they decided to take the relationship to another, closer level of contact. They decided to finally meet. However, upon arrival at the designated airport, the moderator's girlfriend was in for two surprises. The first romantic man, a store owner, was actually a girl. The second surprise clearly impressed the girl no less. At the exit from the airport, law enforcement officers were waiting for the girl. As far as I know, a fairly decent sum was spent to save the moderator in love. Of course, her career in the marketplace was over. However, the moral of this fable is as follows. Never forget where you work. And no matter how sweet, vigilant. No matter how sweet, vigilant. The first thing to remember is one thing. This is the darknet, not a candy store. So today we've touched on an important topic. The topic of online safety and real life. And to conclude this video, I'd like to give you a piece of advice. Whether you're an aspiring businessman or an established one, it's always worth remembering that any wrong move will have unfortunate consequences. Your safety is solely in your hands. And it's up to you to make it strong and impregnable. The walls of your fortress. Whether it's an apartment building or your work computer. All the best to you. This is Professor Moriarty. See you soon.